everyone. It's Safi. So we recorded this episode on Monday, September 8th. And then on Wednesday, September 10th, there were a couple of very violent events that might make this episode hard for some listeners. This is a game that's trying to intelligently speak on events that involve gun violence and governmental responses to that. But unfortunately, this is also maybe not the week that our listeners may want to listen to something that's talking about those topics. If you don't want to listen to this episode, we completely understand. Come back to us when you're ready. You can come back to us 2 weeks from now. It's just been unfortunate timing. I am not psychic, and I did not know that we would be having such a violent week in the news before I chose the game Ready or Not. With that, if you do choose to listen, we thank you so much for listening and hope you enjoy the episode.
Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network.
Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where our husband and wife team go over all the storytelling, world building, and characters of video games because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yep, and this is episode 147.
Guess what? I'm back at the researching seat, everyone. I'm here. I'm doing it. Despite our city's occupation. Oh my gosh. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. We're fine.
Before we get into the episode, if you'd like to contact us, you can do that in many different ways. Instagram, Blue Sky, Reddit, YouTube, Steam, and Discord down in the description down below. Or you can contact us via email at loretogether@gmail.com. You can also visit our website at loretogether.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that in two different ways. First is 5 stars, thumbs up. Whatever it is, wherever you're listening, we appreciate it. The other way is through Patreon at patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to podcast episodes, exclusive access to some Let's Plays, which are starting up again. Yay! Latest episode of Cyberpunk is available for patrons.
Woohoo! You get voting rights.
Yes, you get voting rights. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a second there.
They happen. Don't worry about it, Mystic.
You get voting rights in what we're going to play next in terms of our Let's Plays, our public Let's Plays. Mass Effect 2 will end at some point.
But also there are sometimes votes ahead of time if it's not going to be too spoilery in Mass Effect 2. Yeah. And also if you join our Thursday live streams every other Thursday of Mass Effect 2, you are able to get double vote counted.
You also get access to Safi's novel.
Yes, Mother Revolution. Somebody pointed out to me that it's very prescient because it's about the ethics of programming in this day and age where we have to start thinking about it. And although it's not quite dealing with the AI you and I deal with every day, grown.
No vibe coders here.
But it is about the ethics of making something that you realize is too unwieldy and then handling it inappropriately. So if you want to hear about how my character Virginia figures out how to deal with that while also, raising a baby, read Mother Revolution.
Available where all ebooks and physical books. Like you can get it on bookshop.org or
yes, bookshop.org is the second place I always like to suggest. It's the first indie bookshop that's picked it up. Paperbacks and Fry Bread, an indigenous-owned bookstore. I love her selection, and she was kind enough to put it up because she's trying to post books from minority voices. So thank you, Paperbacks and Fry Bread. Also, I'll quickly mention, because we got a couple weeks left for the application on my author socials, I am looking for people who are willing to read an advanced reader copy of my upcoming fantasy book, Hidden Root. They'll fix what Destiny couldn't. And if you want to know more, feel free to find me on socials under Safi Lore at Threads or Blue Sky. There will be a link in the profile. But enough, what is it, preamble?
Enough self-promotion. Let's get on to the episode, because I'll be honest, I have glimpsed possibly a title.
What do you think the title is, Mystic?
Ready or Not.
That is exactly it.
I have no context for this.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's not hide and seek.
No. It's kind of it's going to be interesting.
Oh, and the fan wiki leaves much to be
the fan
desired.
wiki leaves much to be desired.
That's the only reason I know that this is related to the videos we were watching, because you were like, I must watch so many videos to get my information.
Yes. Now, for those of you who weren't able to get a sneak peek like Mystic did, despite his attempts to not sneak peek, I warned him that there would be videos, and unfortunately, when you're wrangling a kindergartner, like, that stuff's just going to happen anyway.
I still have no idea what it means.
So Ready or Not is a first-person shooter that came out in 2019 and was known for its persistent use of controversial topics for level design, although some would argue with a thoughtfulness for the depth of the topic at hand. So Ready or Not is developed by Void Interactive. It was being published by somebody else, but I won't get into the drama. They ended up separating from the publisher, and fans thought that it was due to some controversies in their levels that are very relevant to past history and current events. And by past history, I mean stuff that happened like when you and I were in junior high and high school, Mystic.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I would like to agree with the fact that I think they are being relatively thoughtful based from what I understand, though, of course, we'll do our first hour live stream as always, and Mystic will get to decide if he feels the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, as many of you know, I'll go to YouTube to find a good video essay or a good deep dive into something I never knew about before.
Yep. I had to stop you.
Plenty of times. I can't do any video game deep dives anymore. There are too many games where I know too much. And hopefully we'll forget by the time Mystic covers it. And there's other ones where this one in particular, Mystic, I don't know if you remember, but I think a few months back, it would have been now, maybe only a couple months back, I let you know I was going to cover Ready or Not.
I vaguely remember. So I did have a faint bell ring about the title. I'm like, I know that title.
Yeah.
But I don't remember anything you said about the game.
So one creator I love to follow is Wendigoon. His real name is Isaiah Nichols. His focus is usually on conspiracy theories and horror games on his main channel. He loves doing deep dives of horror games. In particular, he's one of those.
Is this a spooky game?
It's more like existential ennui for us, but you'll understand.
I have so much of that already.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't plan the world we live in. So.
Oh, I've had it since before this.
Yeah. No, he usually does a traditional horror game, and some of them, or he'll do also alternate reality horror deep dives too. A nice thing is that as somebody who's more of a well-studied, kind of more academic Christian, he has given some insight, some horror games and series that use kind of biblical themes of like demon and possession and hell.
Okay.
And it's been really interesting for me as somebody who just doesn't know that stuff very well. That's not the only thing he covers, but like if he has a really good cover of another game that I won't mention that I'll probably do at another time.
Okay.
Another indie game that's in that same vein. And also in general just also does a good coverage of like historical events, especially stuff that deals with ATF and things like that. So this game was kind of.
Are we getting political?
We're so getting political in this episode. It's unavoidable. So in late June, so not that long ago, which is probably why it rang a bell in your head, Mystic, Wendigoon covered the lore of the missions in Ready or Not, and I was intrigued with its brutal realism and political commentary. thanks to Wendigoon as well as Isaac Morgan, and I'm quoting this YouTuber's channel, Shane, no one cares, for being sources for this channel. The wikis, there's 2 different wikis, and they both are basically copies of each other, not giving a lot of information.
Yeah, I've run across that a lot lately, too.
So, but Ready or Not has a lot of stuff going in on it, and I think the people who end up actually getting into the lore are channels like these 3 who really are fans of the game and love it because they can see that there's so much more than just pew pew.
What was it? Shane what?
Shane, no one cares.
That...
You gotta bleep this up. Isaac Morgan has a playlist in the first video in his series. This covers Ready or Not. Says Ready or Not, a analysis by Isaac Morgan. So, guys, that's beeped out because I had to say it accurately. But it's kind of self-deprecating and hilarious.
At the same time, how many times have we nerded out on something before we had a podcast, and people be like, "That's great, and you can tell we don't care.
Dude, that's me talking about my book with a good number of the people that I love in my life. Like, they love me and support me and they're listening to me, but after a point, I'm like, you're never reading this book, and I appreciate you for listening to me for the last 10 minutes. Thank you. P.S. I have another 20. Do you want to talk about the hierarchical structure in my my fantasy story?
Nope.
Yeah, nope. Nope, but they're going to do it anyway because they're good friends, honestly. The missions in this game are not in chronological order.
Oh.
Yeah, Wendigoon's deep dive into the lore does go into the missions chronologically, so if you're willing to give a 4+ hours to watch it, I highly suggest it. It is very long. I ended up watching over a couple of days, but he does a really good deep dive in it, and also he's a genuine fan of the game, like super fan. He's gotten some of the highest accolades within the achievements in there, so he does a really good job of covering it in general.
But listen or watch our stuff first.
Well, we're not going to be going over the missions themselves.
Oh, okay.
We're actually going to be talking about the alternate history timeline and some of the setup of the setting itself. The thing that really intrigued me the most about Ready or Not is because of the world setup it's in justifies the kind of game you're playing. And the way it justifies it, and it's really insidious. And it makes you really think about it. It's a lot of commentary about the real world itself within those missions. The YouTubers I mentioned before, so Wendigoon, Isaac Morgan, Shane, no one cares, do a lot of deep dives already in that. I feel like that work's already been done. And they have done some of the work about the alternate universe, but I figured today, let's kind of focus in on that a little bit more. So it's a nice little chunk for people who have never played the game before and would like this preamble. Now that I said that word once, I'm going to say it like 5 times in the next 24 hours. But this is a nice preamble, a nice little background, if you will. If you want interested in kind of pursuing it and maybe going to do the missions online with yourself, with your friends, or with, you know.
Is this like Fallout where you can like say this is where they diverted from our timeline, or is it like an alternate history that goes back way too far for
it goes out way too far, and because it's all placed kind of in these background moments and side things,
okay,
some of the things I mentioned you will discover why it's relevant later on in the game, but I'm mentioning it because it becomes relevant later on in the game, and you'll be like, but that was just a one-off, Safi. Why did you mention that? Well, you have to play the game to understand why it matters.
Okay.
I will also not be going into, there's a much deeper, bigger conspiracy at hand within the game itself. They're still releasing DLC that kind of covers stuff, so I think I might want to wait a couple years before I really flesh that out. Though, again, the 3 channels I mentioned before do a great job of getting you up to speed. I also want to mention we're only going to cover the information that is true with the missions available now as of September 6th, and won't be deeply digging into any of the missions that are no longer available. This game went through beta rounds. It went through different options, like even the police station was totally different and had a different side plot.
Yeah, we covered games like that before where it's like, throughout development, the story just changed entirely.
Yeah, and it's funny, and it's still thematically the same overall, but to keep things consistent, and especially because I was first inspired by Wendigoon's video, which was only in June, we're going to be dealing with the most recent version from what I was able to glean from it. I haven't played the game yet, nor am I good enough to play the game. I'm sorry. Just it's a first person shooter.
Oh, the pressure is on for me, isn't it?
First person shooter a la like Call of Duty. So
We're playing easy.
Is there anything option? I don't know.
Oh,
I
no.
don't have the game.
Oh no.
I don't know. So obviously, to make things relevant and not too different, there's a lot of things that have stayed the same across timeline, including the Bibles and furries, the things you'd expect. So I made that comment, and I wish you guys could have seen Mystic's face. That is literally why I wrote that sentence. It was amazing, and my life is fulfilled.
Wait, okay, hang on. Let's go back.
Yeah?
Some things remain the same. You
Yes.
said, like the Bibles
Like the Bible
and the furries.
and furries.
Okay.
Not two I didn't say there were two Bibles. Or at least I wasn't trying to say there were multiple ones.
No. So Christian Bible,
Yes.
still the same. We're not going that far back.
Right.
And there's still furries,
Yes.
but you did not. Okay, we didn't cover anything between those two.
We're about to. We're about to cover some of that. So there's some overall time differences before I get into the timeline, specifically the timeline of the city that these missions are going to take place in.
Mm-hmm.
So the United States by 2025 in the current state of the game has had 52 presidents rather than 47.
Okay.
And that's, comparing the timelines. Reagan is still served as president on this timeline at some point, leading some to suggest that the split started in the late 80s and that between 1989 and today, the Ready or Not universe had 5 additional presidents serve in that time. That means at least a couple presidencies that ended before their first term was up. And
yeah,
I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. I'm sure the developers have their own master truth sheet, but people are suggesting it's because the only in-world president that's referred to right now is there is a mission where someone's apartment you enter, they got a picture of them shaking hands with Reagan.
but that doesn't prove that
Right.
all the presidents were between Reagan and now.
Yeah, that's just the theory.
Reagan shaking hands with Reagan, the blah 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 president. I don't remember what Reagan is. So
Yes, and yeah, regardless of when you think the discrepancy of presidents happened, there's also some name changes within the U.S.'s agencies. This is typical for a lot of video games who are going to do games that cover topics insinuating that those agencies might have nefarious intent within the game itself or not, or in general just don't want to be caught up with being accused of, shaming the nation.
right. I mean, we've dealt with different agencies and stuff. In
Yes.
Just Cause, it was the agency.
Yeah, it's just the agency, yeah.
In Control, it's the Federal Bureau of Control, and
Yes.
we've been there. So
Yeah. So some alternate, I don't think this is a complete list, but some of the alternate names are the CIA is replaced with the USIA, or the United States Intelligence Agency.
right, yeah,
The US's FBI is replaced with FISA, or the Federal Investigation and Security Agency.
okay,
Feels a little different to me. And then the U.S.'s IRS is replaced with the NRS, or the National Revenue Service. For those of you who don't know, IRS stands for Internal Revenue Service. Now it's NRS, National Revenue Service. Yeah. For this timeline, I'll mention things I found out that may or may not be obviously important, like I mentioned before, but are relevant to at least one of the missions already or not. There are oral traditions from the city that you are in, that's in the southern part of California, right near the Mexican border, that date back long before the colonization of America. During the time of Mesoamerican civilizations, there was a cataclysm, a quote-unquote great storm in some retellings, that caused drought, disease, crop failure, and death. To escape these perils, people migrated north to what is now the city of Ready or Not.
What is the city? Do we have a name, or is it just?
It does. I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Those Those stories can be found preserved in the ruins around the city, mostly found in these underground cave structures as paintings and reliefs, and they keeping alive the legacy of the many cultures who traveled north to a better future.
Mm-hmm.
Los Sueños, or The Dreams for those who don't know Spanish, the setting for the game was founded in 1781 on the west coast of California, as I said before, close to the U.S.-Mexico border.
It's like where San Diego is?
About where San Diego
Okay.
is, yeah. Like Tijuana's not that far away, things like that. In
Los Sueños?
Los Sueños.
Sueños. Okay.
Sueños, yeah. In 1855, Frankie Wilford, Jack Newman, and Abraham Nelson went across California, pulling off a number of high-risk bank robberies over 6 months. They arrived at Los Sueños and celebrated their success at the Clementine Hotel. U.S. Marshals discovered their location and proceeded to the hotel to apprehend the 3 outlaws. What followed was a 30-minute shootout. The lobby and the first floor were riddled with bullet holes and then some. All 3 outlaws were killed in that shootout.
So we're going far back.
Yes.
Okay.
In 1867, the first train station in Los Sueños opened, a year after the first transcontinental railroad was established. And then 1869, the Los Sueños Police Department was founded. By the time you're playing the game, their motto is to enforce and uphold.
Okay. All right. I can see where this is going.
Mm-hmm. In 1888, gold was found in a river near the city. The Los Sueños Gold Rush brings in settlers and migrants to the city with rapid growing population. This event happens 40 years after our timeline's California Gold Rush.
Okay.
So a little later. And in 1892, the railway and station was expanded to better serve the increase in the population. Some of these railway facts I'm quoting directly from a source in the game, which you'll find out soon enough what that is. In 1898, a major train crash forced Los Sueños' train station to close for 16 months.
That's a long time with a transit hub.
It was a huge crash, yeah. And in 1903, the railroads were converted to carrying industrial goods, which led to an expansion of the station designed by the famous architect Clarence Smith. I have no additional facts on Clarence Smith at this time.
Fair enough.
In 1927, Los Sueños begins to benefit from trade, particularly import-export shipping, because it's right off the coast of California as well. So there you go.
I mean, yeah, San Diego is a very busy port. So
yes. In 1970, the U.S. Army publishes AG-HD993F, Midfield Report and Case Study, connected to their work in Los Sueños.
Okay.
1985.
Oh, okay. That's it. Okay.
Again, a lot of this is going to... I don't want to ruin a lot of the
further back
surprise.
we go, the less... I'm assuming, since we're so far back still, it's like vague.
There's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be vague, and things will build up. And then I'm not going to just stop at the timeline. I'm also going to describe Los Sueños as a whole.
Okay.
So, in 1985, due to a decrease in demand, plans for one wing of the station to be converted into a museum were proposed. At the same year, Dr. Pressure, a soda pop company, is established. Its posters and vending machines become a fixture around Los Sueños.
Dr. Pressure?
Dr. Pressure.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. 1997, a massive fire breaks out in the city and hundreds are killed in the low-income area of 213 Park. In the game itself, there are 3 missions that take place in the quote-unquote modern era, 213 Park, but its history on how it became a high-crime area is not illuminated. I think it's just accepted that is just one of the it's not the only, but one of the rundown
Probably wasn't
eras.
given the resources needed to fully build up, would be my guess.
Oh, yeah. Spoken like a true historian of the U.S. experience there.
I mean, we also live in Chicago where a fire wrecked most of the city, and they only built up parts of it.
Only parts
And
of
then
it,
a fire
yes.
came through again and wrecked the rest of it.
And then, yes, exactly. We didn't learn our lesson with that one, did we? Mm-mm. Though that one was with less technology. This one is in the 90s.
True.
So,
But the point still remains. We are
yeah.
very good at not giving people resources.
We are really good at that.
Yeah.
1996, H. Lincoln starts what would become his 12-year career in leading the SWAT D platoon in Los Sueños. His career includes leading a mission called the LSX Airport Siege, where he stopped a terrorist from firing a missile at a passenger jet. This is one of several missions where he's done exceptional service. He earned his first Medal of Honor during that first mission at the airport.
So John McClane.
I wouldn't even say that. I'm going to keep going.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going based off of the info I have at the moment.
Yes. 1998, the Los Sueños Railroad Museum was open to the public, and that is where some of my facts have come from.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
In 2002, the Los Sueños riots of 2002. Violence affects Korean American communities. That's all I have on that, unfortunately. I don't have any details of how it happened or why. And
you would think they would have more if this is going to be a game that has some heavy commentary.
I think it's more just they don't want everything to be built in a vacuum. And you don't need to, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those situations with a lot of games like this where the developers know a lot more, but they also know better than to tell everything.
Okay.
Yeah. 2005, Los Sueños City Hall siege of 2005. Suspects from the Sovereign American Militia attempt to detonate a portable nuclear device.
Okay, so that's an escalation. That has... Okay. So a dirty bomb, essentially? Or?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. 2011.
No, this just keeps going.
I'm just the whiplash right now. 2011, Eve Nader is reported missing from her home by her husband. She's later found having checked herself into the Domestic Violence Crisis Center, carried from crisis.
Okay.
2015, Abd Allah ibn al-Zubair, the leader of the Yemen terrorist group The Hand, orders a U.S. arm of the group to be established. Led by a man nicknamed Kodama, the members who settle into the U.S. take on normal jobs and establish normal lives in California. They're against any U.S. involvement in Yemen affairs.
Okay, so now we are starting to modify the real-life headlines a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
2016, Carried from Crisis closes its doors.
That's bad.
2017, a hydroelectric dam that fed power into Los Sueños was condemned due to a terrorist attack from an unnamed source. The power source was never replaced.
That... Wait.
Yeah.
Hydroelectric dam
Yes.
usually is a major power source.
Huge.
And just tough luck?
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yep, that's the sense I get.
Didn't want to reroute that or like...
Nope. We didn't want to do that.
So like just the brownouts and half the city is dark sometimes. Like
We'll get into it pretty soon.
ready or not, the world falls apart. Like
Ready or not, crumble.
no.
2020. There's a couple things. There's a few things here, I should say.
So before you jump into it, do they actually reference stuff that happened in 2020, like this COVID run through?
I did not see any mention of COVID.
Okay.
This world doesn't need COVID.
Fair enough.
I think we handled COVID much better than they did, honestly.
we had an electric source.
You know what? The one thing that might be better about this universe, but I'll let the developers, decide if it's true. They're with the different presidents, there might have been higher turnover for some of the funniness that was happening.
Yeah.
When it came to making sure we didn't get like diseases due to poor prevention.
Yeah.
So
but
I don't know. That's up to the developers to answer how they see that happening in the Ready or Not universe.
Very curious. So like already, like statistically, of all presidents, it's already a very dangerous job. Like statistically, there's only been 47 presidents.
And I'm gonna also say 2 of those presidents have served 2 terms not in succession.
Yeah.
So technically 45.
Right. Yeah. But like already statistically, it is one of the most dangerous jobs because of how many have died in office from murderous intent.
Yeah.
I don't know quite how to say that, but the fact that they have
Due to assassination attempts.
due to assassination,
Yeah.
but they have 5 more.
Yes.
So that means at least 4 more have probably died in office.
Either died in office, were not reelected, or
Impeached
or
or
impeached
whatever. Yeah,
or something
okay.
like that.
That feels so well. It's still the same amount of time. Like this country still started in 1776, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, yes.
So you still have people whose terms are being cut short. We haven't had that many who were reelected, like to multiple terms.
Yeah, if anything, I mean, considering that Los Sueños was founded in 1781, like that's somebody who was doing a mad dash
Yeah.
from east to west and said Los Sueños.
Well, I guess if FDR wasn't reelected so many
that
times,
could happen.
So
That could definitely be part of it, because it wasn't until after he died people were like, this was getting a little dictatory. We really liked him, but also getting a little dictatory. So
that's why I know the history, like the timeline now of the presidents, because I'm fascinated to know where the extra 5 are.
I want to know, like, where do you fit them in? It's like, is it like 3 presidents in a trench coat? Like, what happened?
Because if the fan theory is correct that it is
Oh,
after
yeah.
Reagan, no, like that's insane.
that
But
feels
given
like-
how
yeah.
messed up the world already is, it's got to be like
And
Reagan is just a canon event that must happen or
Yes.
something.
Yes, he's a canon event. Oh my gosh. Maybe Reagan only had 1 term. Maybe other presidents only had 1 term outside of like in our lifetimes. I think the only president only served 2 presidents that only served 1 term, Biden and H.W. Bush.
Yeah,
Right? I don't think there's any others in our lifetime.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So if you could, in theory, within our lifetime, had 2 or 3 more of those, and
Yeah.
it still would account for the help account for the but not totally, not totally. Let's get to 2020, shall we?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So, in 2020, protests, riots, and unrest break out in Los Sueños, implied to be caused by police misconduct, which heavily affected minority communities. In the fan wiki, this is linked to the George Floyd protests that happened in the summer of 2020, so I think it's just saying the same thing that happened in our world essentially happened there too.
Yeah.
Los Sueños begins a 5-year drought. Protests spill over from neighboring Tijuana that go into Los Sueños. The federal government uses this as a reason to beef up their funds in ICE.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All
that
right.
organization still exists.
Didn't change that name.
Didn't change that. You know what? They don't have to. It's fine. Also this year, the LSPD suffer immense budget cuts.
Okay.
This year is when Los Sueños experiences significant economic decline and civil unrest. And then they have riots again in 2022.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to not like playing this, right?
No, I don't think you're supposed to like it in that sense.
It's like, what was that when we covered Spec Ops: The Line?
You're not supposed to like it.
Yeah.
A lot. It's saying a lot of heavy stuff. This one is not as
Not as heavy it sounds, but
it doesn't break the fourth wall in the same way, so it's not supposed to emotionally cut at you in the same way. I think it's more just like, here are some parallels. Doesn't this make you think about what we're doing here?
yeah.
You know.
Okay.
In 2025, the events of Ready or Not begin, specifically in February of 2025. The game continues into 2026 with its missions both in the base game and in the DLC. And I think they're going to continue to basically put DLCs in the future and all that. Yeah.
All right.
So let's talk about the current state of Los Sueños. When you first start the game, you are in the police station. This station is a museum whose building was formerly a train station. I think it's the historic train station of Los Sueños we've been talking about earlier, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. There are
No longer a train station. This place has like no infrastructure.
Oh, let's get there. We'll figure it. We're gonna get through
Still
this.
bothered by the hydroelectric
Mystic,
dam.
you are not ready yet. If you're bothered about the dam, just get ready. Just get ready. There are still displays that are up at the main halls, which now have those metal fence barriers that are typically used at festivals and traveling carnivals. When you walk into the police station now. Throughout the station, you can see posters that are propaganda for the intensified police action happening across Los Sueños, let alone across the United States. Essentially, at least in Los Sueños, the local police have been hyper-militarized, supported by the government at the state and federal level. Recruitment for the police is ramped up because there are not enough people serving in the force. You can read a note on the door to the chief's office stating that manpower is low, so they need people to take on double shifts for coverage. The 911 office has makeshift beds for the staff, and on a whiteboard you can see the rotation schedule for who sleeps on the bed versus who sleeps on the floor. The holding cells are overflowing, and you can see an officer reaching out to find space for those detained. In one video, I counted at least 14 unique missing persons posters pinned up on the overcrowded corkboard in the station. And the memorial to fallen officers in the station is extensive, a list of what I could see of 32 names engraved into one section of the marble reliefs. So probably that's half of the names.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
A city beset by violence and mass incarceration and, yeah. Okay.
Would you be surprised to find out that the morale of the police is low?
No. No.
You can overhear fellow officers talking about how they need to leave the profession, find resignation letters on desks through the station, and read emails from internal affairs investigating officers.
Oh, fellow officers. So we are a police officer in this.
Mm-hmm. We are a police officer.
Okay.
What makes it thoroughly dystopian for me is a psychologist who's in the back of the briefing room treating police officers before they go out on shift. Yes, therapy helps after trauma, but typically not before.
Look, you just gotta go do your job, and then we can talk about it after.
Yeah.
Just keep your head up
And literally, it's not even private, so you can walk into the back of the break room and hear somebody in their therapy session talking before they have to go on shift.
Was it kind of what I just said? Is like, yep, just gotta go do your job.
I have not listened into that part. We'll have to experience that in the first hour live stream if we can. Oh, and to add insult to injury, you have to pay for your coffee.
I worked retail for 2 decades, and we never once paid for our coffee. Like,
I have never been to an office where the expectation was you pay for your coffee if there's a coffee machine.
yeah,
I've been in offices where there's no coffee machine.
yeah.
But this is specifically, there's a coffee vending machine. Like, they're not going to give you a cheap little Folgers crystal
They're not going to give
situation.
you
There's not even any instant.
There's not going to drip coffee or anything.
No,
Okay.
no. It's there's a vending machine, and you have to. Now, I will say the developers did a really good job of essentially you have to like put in the coin, select your coffee, put the cup in.
Oh, we have to do this.
Yeah, you do it yourself if you're going to get it. And you do get a speed boost from it, which some people don't find beneficial, but it's there.
I just want to get through this shift.
One thing to note is how the police in Los Sueños are entirely militarized. Although many police departments have a SWAT force in America, their missions are few and far between. In fact, a lot of the criticism that have been with local police forces have been their acceptance of more military-grade equipment and vehicles in towns where crime is low, or at least not at a level where tank-grade cards and full tactical gear is necessary. And this is something that's like a lot of people who aren't in America might not realize we've been talking about for the last decade, was that the military would give their old gear to police forces. Mm-hmm. So you'd have like Illinois is a big state, so Chicago, a bigger city, more likely to have things that'll happen once every 3 years or so where you maybe need that gear.
Yeah.
But, you know, you don't need it in the middle of like central Illinois. But
Right.
Those are the kinds of towns that are getting this stuff. It's kind of ridiculous.
It reminds me, actually, so there was a game we're never going to cover because there's no centralized story for this, but it was a game called 911 Operator. It's one of those sim games,
Yes.
and you can download your map,
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this. You've told me about this. Yeah.
and we were playing, or I was playing, you weren't playing, but I was playing a suburb not too far from here called Schaumburg, which is known for its mall more than anything else.
Yeah, it's a huge mall, the Woodfield Mall. Look it up if you're interested.
But I was playing Schaumburg because it was one of the few maps I could get anywhere that I knew since I grew up in the suburbs.
Not everybody has it.
And within the first day or two, there was a hostage situation. It's like, this doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen like that in America. America overreacts to the violence that we have.
Yeah.
So anyway,
number one, number two, like that game also explicitly said
it's fiction.
This is
right?
compressed down and insanely adjusted. You will not run across a tenth of this in a shift.
No, most of the time you have maybe once a year have a really, really bad day if you're at a normal 911 call center. So anyways, but that's the state of SWAT in America. This is not true for Los Sueños. The police are not only outfitted with military grade gear, just all regular police, they're doing military grade missions. In real world America, you wouldn't normally see police taking parts in seizing international terrorists or patrolling international waters, but these missions are particularly normal within the game and the job duties of those who promise to quote unquote enforce and uphold in Los Sueños.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're playing in 911 operator.
A step above that.
Okay.
We'll get into it. Outside of the police department's problems, Los Sueños itself is in the midst of a garbage pickup strike. You can see it piling up around the station as well in other areas of the city. The only benefit is that it sometimes serves as beds for the unhoused that are sleeping outside, including right outside the police station. Of course, it's the lower income neighborhoods that have been affected the most. It's not just the garbage men. Your tutorial mission reveals that employees from DeBanco, a money courier that's kind of like Garda, are starting to organize as well as for safe work conditions. It's theorized that these poor working conditions are why most of the ATMs in the city have no money. And essentially why your first mission ends up happening. But that's all I'll say.
Right.
The unrest is expected. You could see other movements growing to this state of affairs. There's a growing movement of veterans protesting due to a bill that recently reallocated funds from military pensions and VA hospitals. That bill was... Oh, Mystic's just making a face. I can't... So, that bill was supported by Senator Cornelius Fremont, who represents California.
I can't. It's too immersive.
That's too immersive. In addition, homelessness is widespread in Los Sueños, with tents and boxes being used for dwellings in the streets. This is exacerbated by a healthcare system that very closely resembles the current American system, which is to say, exorbitant costs that push people to extremes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mystic's so mad at me right now. He's like, I have to play this?
As a cop.
As a cop. The weather is not giving anyone a break. There's a lot in the game that suggests climate change is already bringing a higher frequency of extreme weather events. You hear about rapidly spreading wildfires and Category 5 hurricanes. In fact, in the DLCs, a Category 5 hurricane hits Los Sueños, and it's devastating.
Okay, that sounds intriguing, actually.
Yeah. Natural resources are drying up too, with a 5-year-long drought and a natural gas shortage affecting everyone across Los Sueños and into Mexico.
Oh, God. So we have no power. So we have no electricity because the dam was taken off decades ago, and now we have no natural gas to burn.
Yes. Along the Tecate border, there have been protests and fights breaking out because of water shortages. Power shortages have led to frequent blackouts, not just homes, but city infrastructure as well. Whole streets are left in darkness.
What infrastructure? No. What?
Through all of this, you play David Judge Beaumont, the leader of the LSPD SWAT team. He just...
Wait. So they're outfitted like SWAT already. What is SWAT outfitted like?
The SWAT is pretty much almost military style, I would say. And I would actually say, having watched some of the gameplay very briefly, it feels more militaristic than police. Most police do not get SWAT training.
Right.
Most police do not feel confident enough that if they have a gun that's the same grade as the person they're fighting, that they'll shoot it. I don't think most police feel comfortable with that. Yeah, they have a Kevlar vest, but like the regular police seem to have something a little bit more substantial.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the SWAT team, which I are a well-oiled machine. But you're playing Judge, the leader of the LSPD SWAT team. He just transferred from out of state. His colleagues can't get a good sense on who he is. He's a man who's merely there to get the job done, and you'll have to play the game yourself to see how well Judge gets it done. And that's pretty much the setup for Ready or Not. In this interesting
I don't like it.
This
I don't like
little hellscape that they've created, I just found it really fascinating because what they've done is made a universe that ends up justifying why you have to be leading a SWAT team, you know, on a regular basis. Because these missions are only about like a month or so apart, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, they're not that far apart. Maybe a couple months or so.
Better than I thought. I thought it was gonna be like all of this takes place in a
Some
week.
of it is like back to back, almost, I want to say, but it's really frequent. And what they've done is they've kind of asked the question, okay, I like playing a game where I do kind of like a tactical shooting defense situation with missions that involve things like apprehending people alive, saving hostages, infiltrating, maybe defusing a bomb or two as well. They end up creating a world that justifies you being able to do that, what we as gamers who like a first-person shooter like in our game, they've justified that being in the universe. But what they've created instead was this heightened hellhole.
Yeah.
that justifies it. It's just, so is it really fun? I don't know. Like, it's a very interesting commentary because it kind of reminds me of recently, speaking of people who do YouTube videos, Folding Ideas is somebody else that I like to watch. And he just came out with this scathing critique of one of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare games.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally made sense to me because I can understand why he had issues with it, because it was much more kind of the hype train of like, the military's here to save us when the world goes crazy and we're going to be heroes. We're the true it's the plot where there's the ghosts, guys, in case I don't remember the number of the Call of Duty he mentioned or when it came. I want to say it was came in around 2015 or so. And comparing that idea of like, you're in the military, these crazy missions in this modern world where, there's tungsten runs being dropped from the sky and stuff. And it's so extreme. And what Ready or Not has done really simply is said, well, what if we just made our world but even worse? We can then do the same thing and be the same quote unquote heroes, but is it worth it? Like, is it worth it? And then you have a really good game, really good commentary, and with some really interesting missions that, some of which are very close to home. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason I wanted to cover it. I think they did a good job of it. And there's too many other people who've already covered the plot well, like I've said. So I would suggest you watch them instead of us doing it. And maybe we'll come back to it in the future once the conspiracy part of it is fleshed out enough where I feel like I can really connect the dots and have a good solid, at least
Okay.
a good solid episode for you guys. What do you think, Mystic?
I think I'm not looking forward to playing it.
Ooh. I mean, it's a first-person shooter. You'll do great.
So I don't play those that much anymore.
Not anymore. That's true. You've been getting back to Guild Wars 2.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know what the gameplay is like. We've been talking about the world and stuff. The world sounds like... I say this every time, not every time, but often when I'm playing Cyberpunk of, this is fun. I hate it here.
Yeah, I think that's the sense you're supposed to get. Except you'll feel the less of this is fun, and it'll be a little bit more of, I hate it here, but now I feel like I have to do, like, if
right. Because that's almost all the time. It's like, oh, here is a here's 50 people all living in a slum while, right there is one of the most expensive buildings in the entire city. Or, all the dead people or,
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Yeah, there's the gore and stuff is not my thing. And then it's like, oh, I hate this world.
Yeah.
This is a fun game, but I hate this world. And I'm kind of getting the... not to as an extreme here, which is weird to say when you have no infrastructure, but Cyberpunk is its own special hell.
Cyberpunk has a little bit more of that indentured servitude on Wii going on, which I find more horrifying myself than rather just like, oh, the government doesn't care. I kind of always assumed that. So like, okay, that's not new. But, which is kind of like, there's so many things you could say about why I, as an American, say that, but, whatever.
Right.
But I feel like with Cyberpunk, it's a little bit more of the requirement is to sell your soul.
Yeah.
And that's when it feels particularly nasty.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I'm, if I'm remembering correctly, the first mission you play will be a good mission where you're not getting into any of the super controversial stuff.
Oh, okay, good.
I could be wrong. But if I remember it correctly, I think you'll be able to get through the first hour at least without
getting angry.
Yeah. No, you're going to get angry, but you're not going to get angry in like a political way per se. Yeah. Not yet. Well, maybe you will, but not like directly related to the mission at hand.
Right.
I don't think. But there's a lot of the little tidbits that we've mentioned here.
We shall see. I hope you all will be able to join us. That's the Thursday after this episode comes out on all the podcast networks.
Yes.
You can watch our YouTube channel to catch me playing this game's first hour kind of blind. Like, obviously I know the story at this point, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know the story. I know the setup. So
yeah. And another thing to keep in mind is that the story is not told in order in the game. So your first mission, I think, is the first one that starts the story, but the missions don't happen in chronological order.
That's going to be weird. Okay.
So if you do end up continuing, just so you know, listeners, if you do end up continuing to play, they kind of, I think they make sure they ramp up the difficulty of the level itself, but still then keep things in order based on not the story, but essentially your difficulty. That's what I think. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well. I'm kind of in like a world swirling around with like dates and strife.
Yeah,
so
that's fair. Either way, we will catch you guys at that stream, hopefully.
Yeah, please join us then. And don't forget the alternate Thursdays. It's still Mass Effect 2.
That is slowly coming together. I think we just finished Overlord.
Yes, that was a tearjerker.
I think we have a bunch of side missions to do.
We have side missions, and then we're going to get ready to gear up towards the end because...
We're not even to the end yet. We still have another huge chunk after still. But
That's true. That's true. So, but join us then as well.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.